Hello, good morning, my fabulous friends. Welcome to the Coffee Run Live, episode 587. Coming to you from a very cold, wintry but sunny morning here in the land of Mildura. What I wanted to talk to you about today is a little bit of a bit of a extension almost on what we were talking about yesterday, or what I blogged about yesterday. And I was talking yesterday about the fact that I've got very minimal team again at the minute. I've taken everything back over, and it's so funny because my husband came home I think it's really funny. My husband came home last night and he said, "Oh, so how are you going?" I said, "Oh, I'm really good. I haven't worked so hard all year." It's like I've done a huge day. I had done the coffee run, I've done coaching, I've done learning, I've done tech, I've done scheduling, I've done graphic design, I did all of the things. And I think like what I really found interesting yesterday, by the time the afternoon rolled around and I wrote my blog, "Hey Domenica, how are you?" It got to the point where I'm just like, I am having the best fun today. I had a great day yesterday. It was so awesome. But partially, I think what I find for me is it's so important for me to be able to plan. So, for example, what I've got going on, you know that we've got, I mentioned it yesterday anyway, I mentioned about Visible Live and the very, very fun national tour where I'm going to be traveling around the country, well, to 4 states anyway, traveling around the country doing all of the things in Visible Live, helping my badass entrepreneurial clients get more clarity, more structure, and get their message really clear and build out their marketing plans for perhaps the next 12 to 18 months. So, shameless plug. The link is in the comments if you feel like you need to be there. But I guess like that the main reason I'm talking to you about that today is that there is a lot of things that go on when you're launching and selling a program, right? We've got to have our social media posts ready. We've got to know what it is that we're talking about. We've got ads that you've got to check. You've got lead gen you've got to make sure is working properly. You've got to make sure that everything is all integrated correctly. So what I brought out again is I don't know why that's shaded, but basically this is what I work on. I work off each week. So this was my yesterday plan of all the things that I needed to make sure that I was doing. Hello, Julia. How are you? Happy Tuesday. And so for me, it was like, all right, the way that I work this is I'll go, all right, so what is it that needs to be done? What's my priority? And my main priority yesterday was feeling like I could go for the rest of the week with my graphics done. I wanted to make sure that I was talking about, or that I am talking about, Visible Live a lot because the fact of the matter is I've booked my flights, I've booked the rooms, everything is done. We've just got to get people signed up and registered for it. So I'm like, right, well, I'm going to pull out all stops and do everything that I possibly can because, I guess for me, part of the scary thing with doing something like that is that we've got potential COVID things, and rest assured, if something's locked down, it'll still happen on the same dates and the same times. It'll just be done virtually. But it's like, oh my gosh, what if nobody buys? What if I'm traveling around and nobody comes? There's some little creatures, little critters that or cockroaches, if you like, that run around the back of my head. So what helps me to feel in control, and yes, I am a bit of a self-confessed control freak, recovering. Sometimes I fall off the wagon. Hey, Rachel, how are you? But for me, I suppose that the thing that I'm like, all right, the thing that makes me feel in control, because I can't control how many people look at my stuff. I can't control how many viewers we have on the coffee run. I cannot control how many people listen. I can't control anything that you guys do, right? All I can do is go, all right, give it my best effort, and hopefully that is enough, right? So for me, the thing that I always look at is, all right, well, how can I create some systems and some structure? Yes, Carmen, just a little bit of a control freak. Systems and structure. So the thing that I've reverted back to this week is my planner. I've got my little template here so that I know that I'm ticking off all of the things, doing all of the stuff. And really, I guess, the thing that I talk a lot about is making sure that you have a plan that is going to support you and help you move forward. So there's a couple of ways that I'll do this. When I'm doing my this is a bit of a day in the life of today for you. So the thing that I will always make sure that I've got in place, hi Tracy, is what it is that I need to get done and how I'm actually going to repurpose a lot of my content, because I think that's really important, right? If I'm creating this, not if I am creating this coffee run. So where are the places that this needs to get shared? So I've got a list on here of where all of that needs to go. I've got a list of everything that I need to do in pretty small, pretty small detailed things. Sorry, I'm looking for something that I want to show you. I can't find it. I don't understand I don't know where that went. That's a bit irritating. I can't show you the thing that I was going to show you because I can't locate it on my iPad. So I should have put that on my freaking planner. Note to self, put that on planner. So basically what I'll do is I go, okay, these are all the things that I need to do. These are all the things that I need to do each day, what gets duplicated and what happens through there. So I've got my system in place for what I need to get done. The other thing that I make sure that I have in place for is what I'm talking to you about in Visible Live. It's like making sure that I have a marketing plan and a system and a structure, and I do this for myself, a system and a structure that I can follow no matter what. And what that does, again, is it gives me a sense of control. It gives me a sense of certainty. I know exactly what it is that I'm going to talk about, and I know exactly how it is that I'm going to help people. So how this relates to you. Most of the time, I think what happens is that people are like, we know that we need to create content on social media. You know that you need to do that. I don't need to convince you of this. This is this is just something that you need to do. You know you need to be consistent. You know that you need to get your message out there. You know that you need to be doing things in a different way, perhaps, to the other people who are out there. I had an email overnight from a lady who was saying to me, oh my God, I can't believe it was off the back of an email that I'd sent out in March. And I think I might have talked a little bit about Mean Girls in there. And she said that she's experiencing something like this at the moment, where there are people out there who are literally copying her content, copying her course, and then coming and looking at what it is that she's doing and then giving a shit about how it is that she's positioning herself, right? I'm like, oh my God, this is bullshit. You know what? And I went back to her this morning and I'm going, you know what? Women can be the worst. We can also be the best, but women can be the worst. They can be absolute assholes. And I don't understand why someone who is, if you can do the thing that you do, like, why aren't you just like staying in your own lane and just doing your own thing? Like, it's just crazy. Have you got like people, I don't understand these women who do this, or the men. I don't understand these women who do this kind of shit. But this is something that I've seen play out over and over and over and over again. I've had people who, like me, who have to me, I haven't done this, but I've had people who have bought my program, gone through it, and then gone and given it away to their clients, like ripped it off, given it away, and then called me a bitch and demanded a refund. That was my experience on my end. There's always two sides of the coin, right? But that was my experience of that. And this is what she's saying, like that they're not only being an asshole to her by hanging shit on her for the way that she speaks, or when she stutters over her words, and then pulling clips out of her videos and then, bandying those around. But then they're also going and ripping off her IP. It's happened to me. It's happened to other women that I have had in my high-end mentoring programs and in my low-end stuff as well, where they've had people copying them and things like that, or that they've gone and ripped off their stuff. And I suppose there's two things. Hey, Olga, there's two ways of dealing with this, the way that I see it. And this is the advice that I went back to this lady with this morning. I said, you've got two things that you can do. Number one is that you just, carry on your own merry way, and you let them undermine you, right? So you show up, you're looking at it, you see it, they see your stuff, they comment, they do this, that, and the other. That's one option. The second option is just to go, fuck you, and block and delete them all. Bianca says imitation is the sincerest form of flattery. Well, yeah, that's what they say, but I agree with you to a point, but I also think it's really fucking childish and it's illegal. You can't go in, like, if you created your own intellectual property and someone else is ripping off your ideas, your stories, your explanations, copying your websites, they're doing, like, I've done so much labor, if you like, so much labor over the last decade or more since I've been doing this. To have someone go in and copy my shit or go and give it away is just like, that's not flattery. That's just fucking rude, right? And then in some instances, yeah, there are people that I admire, but I would never go and copy their stuff or go and rip it off. Like, it's just not how I roll. Oh, you agree? Awesome. So like that, you've got one option where you just carry on and you keep letting it undermine you, and you could quit. I considered this back in the day when all of this stuff happened to me, because it really, it can be very unnerving, right? And you're like, my God, I'm putting all of this effort in. What's worse is that they go and use your stuff and they start soaring and they start, shooting the lights out. It's like, fucking hell, like, this is just not fair. They have no conscience is what I have decided. I think, like, I just think they have no conscience, and I think that's a really shitty thing to do. So that's one option. The second option is that you just go block and delete, big fat fuck you to all of the things and all of the stuff, and put your head down and almost like reinvent yourself and come up with a new way of talking about things, right? So for me, if I found, like, the way that I look at things is, if you can create, the 4-step process that I help people with is not really that dissimilar to probably, every other business coach on the face of the planet. The first thing that you need to do is work on your confidence. The second thing you need to do is work on your niche. The next thing you need to do is work out how to position yourself. And then the fourth thing is get out there and create impact, right? That's my 4-step process, to be very blunt and very banal about the whole thing. But the way that I do it is in a very different way. My attitude, my stories, my flair, the thing that I do, the way that I show up, the way that I explain things, and the results that I've had are very different to, everybody else that's out there, because they're not me. So what I would suggest to you is, if you want to be ahead of the game, and Gerda actually said this when we developed her process around this, she said, oh, wow, this is like a treasure chest of like all of the amazing things. I'm already going to be in front of competitors. I know that Carmen has said something very similar. I feel very similar. Every other person who's been through Visible Live, we've had, like, there's testimonials and all sorts out there on the page. Valerie, Kate, another Kate, they all have a test. They've all experienced massive shifts and changes, because they all of a sudden see, well, you know what, if somebody was going to go and copy my shit, it's going to be pretty obvious, right? But you're also in front of the game no matter what. And I think that is one of the best things that you can do, is learn how to create a system and some structure for you that is different, and some positioning that is different to what everybody else is doing out there. And part of the example I think that I think is really helpful with this is that you might, you don't think about an author, right? So, like Dan Silver, right? So we've got Dan Silver, who writes amazing amazing books. There are like spy novels and things like that, and they're like edge of your seat things. And then we've got Jeffrey Deaver, who writes edge of your seat kind of like thriller novels. They similar genres, not the same, similar genres. They're both authors, and the way that they tell that their story framework is pretty much the same, right? It's the same as any movie. You've got the bedding down at the story, then you've got the protagonist, and then you've got the three acts, right? And then the whatever the result is, the happily ever after. All films follow let me rephrase. Most films follow the same structure. Most authors follow the same structure. Most business coaches follow the same structure. The difference is how you layer in, and you're right, Carmen, they're not you. It's how you layer in your stories and your experiences, your own personality into that structure and into that plan that is going to make the difference, right? And basically one of the best things that I ever that I ever coined, because everyone's like, oh, just ignore it. I'm like, fuck that. Like, this is just, that feels like a lot of effort. So rather than ignoring, block and delete, move on. But one of the best things that I can suggest to you is imagine that if somebody's copying you, if someone's being weird, hey Christine, if someone's being weird, imagine, and you're not down with it, right? Then imagine that there's a zombie wall, and a zombie wall is like this glass fly-up screen. So we activate the zombie wall. I used to work for a bank. I worked for a bank for 12 years, and I was a teller for some time. And the tellers are the people that count the money, and they talk to you when you go into the bank and you want to bank the money. And underneath the counter was a button. So in the event that we were to be held up, or like a bank robber, you could push the button and the alarms would go off and the fly-up screens would go up. I did this accidentally when I was relieving at a branch. Oh my gosh, it was the worst. Right on closing time, the line was out the door. It's the worst possible thing ever. I was mortified, but because I'd used the bench to pull myself in on my rolly chair and I'd accidentally hit the hold up button. So that's not a good thing. But in this scenario, what you imagine is like you hit that button and the zombie wall goes whoosh. It's like this glass wall. Now, the reason it's called the zombie wall is I want you to imagine that those assholes, those people, those, tall poppy people, the copycatters, the whatever it is that are giving you grief. Imagine that they're zombies, and what they're doing is they're like coming straight up on your glass wall, and they're like bloody and gory, and their faces are falling apart, and they're like sliding down the wall, and that's what they're doing, right? If you imagine that those people are like zombies and they're hitting up on your zombie wall, you're standing there and you're just like, look at those people over there being really silly, those silly zombies. What it helps you to do is it helps you to change the association that you've got with them, and it helps you to then step back into, you know what, I'm safe, I'm good, I've got this, I'm just going to keep on doing my thing. Now, it doesn't mean that it doesn't take an emotional toll, because it can take an emotional toll. Like, let's be real. We're people we're driven by integrity. We're driven by doing the right thing. We're driven by being of service. We're driven by being helpful. And, quite honestly, it can be challenging going through this kind of thing. But the best thing that I can say to you is really at the end of the day, the bottom line is please don't quit, because we really need you. We need people like you out there helping the people that you really want to help. So there are some things that you can do just to help you to continue showing up, and for you to, I guess, like build in a little bit of structure and a bit of a framework for you when you're creating your content on a daily basis. I think that will be helpful for you. So what I think is the simplest way to do this is every day you sit there and you think, all right, so who is it that I serve? Who is it that I really want to help? What are these people like? And what are their goals? right? So what is it that they really, really want? And what most people want is they want to get out there, they want to get their message out there, they really want to help people, they want to do more, they want choice, freedom, flexibility, lifestyle, they want to feel confident, they want whatever. So you know who they are and you know what their goals are. What is it they want and how do they want to feel? And then the next thing is like, what really stops people from achieving these things? And if you can think about those 4 questions and use those as almost like the way in for your content creation, that helps you with your message. It helps you with the thing that you need to say out there today. Hey, Kylie. It will give you inspiration and it will give you some structure basically in order for you to be able to get out there and get your content out there and go help some people. All right. So that is that for us today. If you have any questions about this or anything else, of course, please let me know. Otherwise, you know what you need to do. Get yourself out there, go help some people, have a whole ton of fun doing it, and remember that the world is ready for your brand of awesome because you rock. I will see you tomorrow.